Oh, fuck. All right. Been too long. Sorry to Andy, GPP team member who had to do one of his long runs with no episode of the High Performance podcast. Actually, I had a few DMs because fuck, we didn't drop an episode last week and we're a little bit late with the drop this week. So it was actually good to have people reaching out. Actually, I can't remember. I had a comment pop off on Runvis Coaching's, one of his viral reels recently. And someone left a comment below that. It was just like, been loving the podcast lately. So thanks to everyone who's been getting around the show. I actually haven't had a lot of downloads in the last couple of months. And I mean, we've had some life events unfold over the last 24 hours or so. I mean, it's been an eventful week, 2 weeks, to say the least, but something happened. Well, I've just got post-breakup clarity. And I always get fired up for work whenever I have a relationship breakup because work is just such a big part of my identity. And I'm like, well, I can't let that go to shit. I mean, I never want work to go to shit, but coming out of breakups is usually a pretty intensive work season. I find it really hard to balance. Whenever I start a relationship, I have to adjust my work schedule because there is no work schedule. So I have to create a work schedule, which inevitably puts like a little bit of a clutch on things, for lack of a better word. But broke up with the misso in Bali last night / this morning. So the clutch has been removed and I'm keen to get some guests on the show. It just popped into my head. It was like, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, there's a bunch of people that I'm keen to tee up over the next month or so. But I guess before we get into the Bali recap, let's rattle off some songs. What have I been fucking listening to?
On the subject of which I wanted to bring up. So, as I don't know if the listeners do know this, but we've started posting these on YouTube as well, which is sick. But I hadn't really looked at the whole thing. There are comments on the YouTube videos that we should really look at / reply to, including Jeremy Barzillo, who's in there fucking getting in on the music chats, and he was getting in about whether like Incubus are considered new metal or not.
Yeah, he backs me up.
But anyway, I was just like, I just hadn't even thought about the comment side of this. So if people have been leaving comments on the YouTube and we've not been getting back to them, we'll have to like put that into our into our like checking routine of things, because I just had not even thought about YouTube comments. But yeah, sorry if we've left you hanging. We will get to you. We'll get to you for sure.
And if you have a question for the show, I guess you can leave it in one of those YouTube comments. Man, I actually haven't added anything to my liked songs. I've been slamming Puya. I mean, what's new about that? But also like Mood Swing Misery. Like, what album is that off? The South Got Something to Say, which was a pre-COVID drop, 2019. I think like, because what's my favorite Puya album? I mean, Blood Was Never Thick as Water. This 2021 album was fucking fire. But yeah, the album before that, The South Got Something to Say. It's fucking good. It's, Puya paying homage to his origin, which is that just Florida rap scene. And yeah, it's some phenomenal shit on there. I don't know. So go listen to some Puya. It's always a good time. And so, yeah, I've been in Bali. I mean, I kind of yapped a fair bit about that in the previous episodes, but I don't know, like I had some good surfs at Canggu, but it was just a little bit, there was some currents. There's just so much water moving around there. So didn't get many good waves. Also, I want to give a shout out to my brother who gave me one of the worst gym recommendations of all time. He was like, yeah, man, check out fucking Body Factory. We actually stayed in the Body Factory accommodation, which I do rate. Body Factory accommodation was fucking sick, especially for a $250 a night job. It was like really, really nice. I mean, like that's the thing. Whenever I go to Bali, I'll stay in anything with 4 walls and a roof. So it's usually a pretty cheap trip, but obviously going with a girlfriend who enjoys the finer things in life, had to shell out a little bit more for the accommodation. But again, like for what it was, I thought it was a really, really good deal, especially if you sort of want to escape that like real loose crowd that tends to accumulate in Canggu. A lot more like fitness and e-commerce oriented people, which definitely isn't everyone's cup of tea, but I could handle those cunts. And like I said, it was a really nice, relaxing, subdued vibe. Body Factory is a fucking hellhole of a gym though. Like, I mean... You know how I always bring this not metaphor up, but you know how people are like, well, Michael Jordan, yes, he was a basketball player, but if you look at like how he made the most of his money, technically he was a shoe salesman. Body Factory is technically a recovery center if you look at how they've dedicated the average square footage of their fucking gym. It's like the I say recovery zone in inverted commas because technically recovery happens outside of the gym when you're sleeping and eating. But they've got like the fucking pool and the fucking ice bath and the fucking, whatever. And that takes up majority of the gym, which is not really my scene. And then the gym itself, they've just spec'd it way too much to group fitness and high rocks. So like there's a little sweet air conditioned bodybuilding area where there's actually some nice prime machinery and stuff like that. But man, like the barbells were shit house. I had to fucking carry heaps of plates a really long way to get him into the squat rack. Again, just absolutely shit ass barbell, fucking squatting out in the heat. It was an overall terrible time.
Can I ask a really dumb question here?
No,
how can a barbell be shit?
It can be like the knurling and the grip can be crappy. It can be like covered in rust, so it just feels terrible on your skin when you're back squatting.
Oh, okay. Right.
Sleeves not rotate, and just like, I mean, have you ever been whinging about the quality of a guitar and then you show it to someone who's not really a guitar person? They're like, what do you mean? Like, this thing's great. I can play Smoke on the Water on it. I can play fucking Seven Nation Army. I'm trying to fucking play on that barbell like Prince plays a guitar.
Yeah, I guess
sorry, I'm overstating it a bit, but
no, it's just I was just in my head. I was like, "Isn't a bar just a bar?" But like, I didn't realize they'd be rusty. Yeah, no, that would fucking annoy me as well.
Rusty, gunk on it, and just like not the most inspiring piece of equipment to use. But like historically, I always talk about how much I lose weight on surf trips because hashtag most energy intensive sport going. But I've just been fucking
lose weight.
Been pounding food. Well, that and just getting Bali belly every time I go to Bali. I managed to avoid that. Dude, my weight's gone up this trip. I'm tipping the scales at like 86 kegs right now. Conditioning is looking great. Still got fucking abs and shit like that. My pipes are feeling large. So from that perspective, I'm loving things. Like my sleep, as much as the relationship was a bit of a shit show, a fast-paced shit show at that, one of the impacts bringing this woman into my life for a brief period is I started to go to bed before 10 p.m. Because you know how I was a real night owl, like average night was like a 2 a.m. job. But then this year when I decided to quote unquote lock in, start eating a bit better, start going to bed a little bit earlier, I managed to create a rule where I was getting into bed before midnight. That was a hard cutoff, which I broke on a couple of occasions, but by and large, I was in before midnight pretty much every single day. A lot of the times on average, it would probably end up being like an 11:30, maybe even 11:15, getting into bed. I was hitting the sack sometimes at like 9:30. It was crazy work. I am waking up at like 5:30 in the morning and ready to attack. I hate all these cliches in life that turn out to be true when people are like, oh, you got to be a morning person. Like, otherwise you're a bit of a shit cunt. I used to push back on that. And I believe that you don't have to wake up early to be a productive person. Having said that, I'm ripping and tearing. Like waking up earlier, it is pretty hectic. Fuck, it might be Joe Rogan that says this, but he was like, I don't know who said this, but it's like, no one is going to hassle you at 5:30 in the morning. I mean, people don't hassle you at 2 a.m. I can confirm that as a late night entrepreneur, but they can when you got the overseas business. But yeah, I don't know. There is something unique about the early hours. I'll tell you what's not okay though. Fucking in Bali, coffee shops and cafes don't open until 7 a.m. So as someone who likes a morning cup of joe, if I don't have access to a good coffee machine in my accommodation, that kind of does my head in a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so spent a couple of days in Canggu. The surf was pumping on the Bukit Peninsula. So we got Uluwatu, which isn't the wave that I came to surf. I came to surf padding. But Uluwatu has just been firing the whole time. There's a lot more swell coming in now, and it's looking like padding will be going off tomorrow. Like it should be fucking all time. But I've been having some amazing surfs out at this section of Uluwatu called the Racetrack. So training and surfing, it's so much better for me on the Bukit Peninsula because I've got my favorite gym in Bali, which is Bamboo, which is like real influencer setup. But like, let's face it, I got 50 racks on the gram. So I fit in really well at a gym like that. And it's like, I shouldn't, it's not an influencer gym because it's actually really well set up for training. Like it does get crowded as fuck sometimes, or a lot of the time, but just been having the training atmosphere overall is just 10 times better. Really good barbells, good equipment, things like that. And just really, really good vibes. So been ripping in there, just like crushing Uluwatu in the morning, scooter over to fucking Bamboo. I love a good scooter ride. And then back out Uluwatu for the afternoon session. And yeah, so like Uluwatu is really 5 different waves just over the one expanse of reef. And I've been loving a section down the end of it called Racetracks, which is just like, man, it is the best left I've ever surfed. Like I love Raglan, still love New Zealand, but as far as just like an overall high performance wave, like it just fucking goes, man. Like it's really good barrels, very, very steep, very fast, very horny. The other thing I like about it is as much as it gets crowded, like there's a lot of people, tourists, who are fucking, they're just kooks, like terrible surfers. And they all want to be able to say that they surfed Uluwatu. So as much as you'll look at the racetracks, you're like, oh man, there's like 60, 70 blokes out. 50% of those people are utterly useless. So you just like hang behind one of them and you just paddle really hard for a wave and then they'll pull off because they just don't back themselves. And then you fucking on. But then the other side of that coin is like, fuck, there's so many dudes out there just absolutely ripping. But it's good, like just being around other high performance surfers. But I booked myself got a private room at a Backpackers, crushed a YouTube edit this morning and just fucking, God, I feel so much better now that that's over. So yeah, back to enjoying the single life, which is good. There was a part of me that was like, do I fly home and get back into routine? Because as much as it was nice to have this Bali trip, like training was just going really well. And I don't want to make the same mistake I made last year where I just didn't take the upcoming track season seriously enough. But I was like, you know what? My training is going good over here. Like I'm lifting big weights. See, that's the thing. I haven't been doing any track sessions, but I've been compensating by doing extra plyos. And I'll be home in like 4 days. So I'll be back to ripping into the track sessions then and building into my second proper track season. So really, really excited about that. What else have I got to talk about? Shit. Sorry, I'm like 5 fucking bin tanks deep. Crushed a heap of beers while I was knocking out the rest of that YouTube edit.
Have you surfed the wave you went surfing?
No, so that's padding. That's the one that's going to be on tomorrow. So I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest, because like I got bounced across the reef at Uluwatu, which is like the racetrack section, especially at low tide. It does get really shallow. That's just what happens when you want to get barreled over a coral reef. But padding is like decidedly gnarlier. And I've been spending too much time on the internet reading up about it. And everyone's like, oh, the fucking, you got to watch out for the reef. Like everyone's getting slammed, breaking boards and stuff. And like I fully tore not my asshole, but like my butt cheek open on the reef, just bouncing across it a couple of times. Not yesterday, but the day before, just surfing the racetrack section at ultra low tide. And I'm just like, whatever, it's just, you got to pay to play. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of getting sick waves is every now and then you just get bounced across the reef. Because historically when I've surfed waves like this, I've just always been really lucky and I've never hit the bottom, but my luck ran out. Like this pair of boardies, my favorite pair of boardies, and there's a hole in the butt cheek now. Well, there's a hole in my actual butt cheek, which is worse, but yeah, that was a little bit annoying. I'm so glad I've been surfing in a wetsuit top because that definitely saved my back from getting carved up. Like fucking hell, a little bit gnarly out there, but like I said, it is what it is. I just got to G myself up. I am G'd up. I don't have to get G'd up. It will just sort of happen, but I'm planning on having like quite a night on the beers to celebrate single life. So I've just got to make sure that I still get to bed. If I get to bed by midnight, where I just look at the tides, like we sort of want that mid tide, which will be about like 9 a.m. tomorrow. So there's enough room to go out on the piss, have a good time, still get me 8 hours sleep, and then just like slam a quad shot of espresso, get the ghost. I've got the perfect board packed to serve padding paddock and just rip into some hearty kegs. I'll have the GoPro in my mouth. So if I do a good job, everyone's going to see it on the internet anyway. So keep an eye out for that. Or like I said, by the time this podcast drops, you probably would have already seen that. But yeah.
Hell fucking yeah. So how long are you there for? Like how long you got left?
I don't know because my ex changed the flights to be earlier because she
So wait,
hates.
you're flying home on the same flight.
No, so I'm not. But like she's having such a bad time. And so because what initiated the breakup was sort of me pulling her aside and be like, hey, like, you know, you're having a really bad time and like you don't have to stick this trip out for me. Let's you know, do you want to go home tomorrow or something like that? We'll get you back into routine, get you back into a familiar setting. You don't have to be in Bali. So then last night she adjusted the flights to go home tomorrow, which she said was the earliest she could go home. But I was like, well, now that we're broken up and like it's all sort of on the table, I might as well fucking. I like Bali. You were the one that had the issue with Bali, so I'll let her go home on that. But I'll have to book my own flight home. I should look at when the flights are. Or maybe I'll stay for a little bit longer. But again, I do need to get back into running. So that's my main priority to get back. And I don't know what it looks like sort of extending a Bali visa, if that's a pain in the ass or not. So it could be an expensive flight home, which is a great time to bring up. We've got the best deal in personal training, S&C Upskill. If you're interested in that, go check out in the show notes. I've got a link for my course, GPP Level 1. Well, it's not just a course. Obviously, there's a whole bunch of pre-recorded modules, which basically outline my entire training system and training philosophy. But then there's also like ongoing support. So one payment, 350 Australian dollars, which is cheap as shit, even just for the pre-recorded content alone. It's fucking gold. There's no one out there who talks about training and conceptualizes it the way we do here at General Physical Preparation, holistic strength and conditioning. But then you also get ongoing support. There's like a Discord that you're a part of with a bunch of other legends. And there's also 3 live calls a week. So if you need any help, that's where we sort of discuss the application in a little bit more depth or just any specific. A lot of people, because we completely blow their mind and upend how they look at training, there's often it stimulates a lot of questions sort of ongoing. So and those calls have been popping off as well. Like initially, because I just had to start selling the course and like not everyone who buys the course rocks up to the calls live and things like that. But now it's finally getting to the point where the calls are just fucking buzzing. Like I think a lot of people, they think that they want like just me and one other person or a couple of other people on the call. But the more people there are on the call, the more great questions we usually get, which just allows other people to sort of, like I said, there's plenty of space for you to ask your question, but a lot of people do just want that like bystander effect. They want to hop onto the call. And I sort of relate it to, you know, those people who, and sorry, this is like for anyone who's interested in any sort of launching any community-based product, like fuck, you need some serious lead generation or some serious sales volume to get the community buzzing. I've discussed this with the GPP training team. Now that we've got like 150 cunts in there, there's actually like the chats popping off daily. Whereas like up until I had like 80 people in that program, sometimes you go like 5 days without someone uploading a clip for a form check or asking a question or just for some help with the program. Like I said, once we got over 100 people in there, then it started to buzz a little bit more. Now that we've got 150 people in there, it's absolutely pumping. But the same with GPP Level 1, like had to sell like damn near fucking 200 of those things to get the calls popping off because a lot of people just like to sit and watch. And I relate it to, you know, when you're at a party, and anyone who's introverted will relate to this. I'm not the biggest introvert, but like at times I have introverted qualities. Like, you know, when you just go to a party and you're standing in a circle of people talking and you might just be sipping on your beer the whole time and you haven't contributed a single thing to the conversation. But by the end of the night, you feel like you've had a really nice social experience. Like that's the way the average person interacts with a community-based product, whether it's a team training thing or whether it's like these group calls that we have as a part of GPP Level 1. And that's it. Like, I don't like the people are paying the fee, right? You're not obligated to participate in the community, but a lot of people sort of want that effect sort of thing. So now we can facilitate those people because we've got enough chatty catties in there who always ask us sick questions and things like that. So shout out to everyone who not only just shows up to the calls live, but the people who are like actively participating in those conversations. It is highly appreciated. And know that everyone else in those videos, on the video calls and watching the replays, appreciates your contributions as well. It's like when you're at uni and the lecturer's like, any of you cunts got a question? And everyone has a fucking question. But then there's only two cunts in the room with the balls to ask it. Again, it could be my persona. I've talked about this, how I don't want to be Paul Carter and get angry at people for asking questions, like something that I might perceive as a bad question. But it just is the way it is. Like a lot of people are too intimidated to ask a question sometimes. So shout out to the people who aren't intimidated. I'm not an intimidating guy. I'm a really nice guy, especially when you pay for my shit. Also on that note, like I said, team training, like that was a record month of PRs. So fucking stoked. If you want a week of free training, there's basically like a thing where you can train like me. It's a 4-day split. Well, not really. It's a 4-day push-pull split with Olympic lifts on the push days and then acceleration and sprinting work on the pull days. There's also like 3 doses of plyometrics spread throughout that. And then we've got an optional arms and core day. So if you like the idea of like training how I train and a bunch of other fucking legends who are like I said, this program, obviously if you keep up with my content, you can see that my training is going phenomenally. My physique is improving. My lifts are improving. Hopefully I'm getting quicker. We'll find out when I hit the track in a couple of months this summer. But yeah, it's pretty fucking good deal. You get a week for free and then it's like 27 USD a month once you're paying for it. It's fucking phenomenal. And yeah, we just had we have some bench PBs. We've really dialed in our bench programming. Like I would say that that's the part of it that I'm most proud of. I'm just proud of getting people PBs, but some silly fucking bench press PBs, especially for a 2 times a week frequency. I think there's a lot of people who sort of don't expect to be getting bench PBs unless they're benching like fucking 3-4 times a week with a heap of sets. But like I said, we've got that top set back off method absolutely fucking dialed. And it's just really working. I think like that's a decent talking point. Like I'm so in my little GPP bubble, like how we do things at GPP. I forget how many people aren't practicing heavy lifting enough. You know, it's like to sort of meet you where you're at, Harvey. Like, you know how people like, I want to rip big guitar solos. And then you're like, well, how are you training for that? They're like, oh, I play a lot of scales, and you're like, well, that's all great, but at a certain point, you need to rip some guitar solos. That's how I look at heavy lifting and the way a lot of people approach it. Like, there's this term. Have you ever heard of ego lifting?
No.
So people who lift heavy regularly sometimes get accused of ego lifting because it's associated with like not playing the long game with your lifting. But then there's like a specificity to everything, right? Like you would agree with that. Like you got to play the things that you want to get good at playing, not just doing like other versions of it. And don't get me wrong, you've got to do your rep work for lifting heavy singles and things like that. But you've also got to hit some heavy singles and heavy triples. So we program them year round, and people are just on our program are getting so much better at the skill of heavy lifting because with squats, deadlifts, and our Olympic lifts, we just expose people to heavy top sets on a consistent basis, and they're absolutely thriving. Because I think a lot of people have it in their head that just because you're doing singles or doubles or like top sets, that it's got to be like maximal. And that's like, it's like this idea just because you're going for a shred on the guitar that you're going to be playing at tempos where you're hanging on by a thread. And it's like, no, you could be shredding and still sitting in the pocket. And that's sort of how we program our heavy lift. And it's like, yes, we're pushing it and we're getting in that really specific skill work, but we're still firmly in the pocket, you know, and we're just creating the opportunities to get that very specific practice in that I think a lot of people miss because they're like, no, fuck, got to do your reps. You know, it's the rep PBs that lead to the single PBs. It's like, well, to an extent, but you still got to rip heavy singles.
Yeah, well, you got to practice the thing you're trying to do, right?
Hey everyone, it's Harvey from the High Performance Podcast here. For those of you who don't know, I take care of all of the editing, guest booking, organising, run sheet making, uploading, and just about any other back-end stuff that you can think of for the show. If you have a podcast project that you think I might be able to help you with, or even if you'd just like to chat about an idea, please get in touch via my Instagram handle, which can be found in the show notes. Drop me a DM and we can talk more there. Cheers.
Because so again, circling back to the ego lifting point, a lot of people have this idea in their head that lifting moderate to heavy single means maxing out. It absolutely does not. And what is a heavy single? Like, I should define it like anything between an RPE 6. Because people think that RPE 6 is a piece of piss. RPE 6 for a single, it's still pretty decent effort, you know what I mean? That's enough to build a skill. A lot of our sort of top sets are like in the RPE 7 range. Occasionally we'll bump it up to an 8. And I tell people, I'm like, if you're feeling good, take the PR. You know what I mean? Just go for it on that day. It's so hard to predict the days where you're going to have your best performance. So that's why you never need to be afraid. If you have self-awareness and you think you're in shape to PB, just go PB.
Actually, do you know what we should maybe talk about? I don't actually know how much there's to talk about here, but this is episode 200.
Of the new season.
Yeah, season 2, episode 200.
Yeah, I love it when people are like, do you know if you fucking do 10 episodes of a podcast without quitting, you're in the top 1% of podcasters? I'm like, well, I've done fucking close to 600 episodes of podcasts. And so there's like fucking, there's Joe Rogan and then there's fucking me.
And that's like, I don't know if, like, I'd have to go back and check, but I don't know if we like called all of them an episode. Do you know what I mean?
Nah.
I'm suspicious we maybe did like some that wasn't quite like a full episode to itself. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things, let me talk about some GPP in the GPP level 1 coaching community, like some of the themes that always come up, especially with younger coaches, because like once I'm confident in someone's ability to coach, I'm like, you should put yourself out there on social media because it just creates so many amazing opportunities. But especially these young coaches, they're like, man, like they're so worried about what people will think of them, or they're so worried that they don't deserve to blow up on Instagram. And I'm like, mate, have you not seen the clowns that blow up in the fitness space? Like, why don't you feel more entitled to success? We're not in a meritocracy. So like, yeah, I'm sure that there's, you know, all these 21, 22-year-old coaches, even up to coaches who are like 25. I mean, I've had coaches who I've had to say this to who are in their fucking 30s who've been coaching for over a decade. And it's like, why do you doubt yourself so much? Like I said, I like it. You have to doubt yourself because the inner critic is important. Like I used to say that the inner critic is your self-awareness, but some people are so critical of themselves that it's actually not self-awareness. True self-awareness is the right amount of inner critic, like realizing that you're not the best coach in the world and that you still have stuff to learn and that you could be wrong about things. But like the inner critic is what empowers me to share my opinions so confidently on Instagram, because when someone's like, oh yeah, well, did you think about this? I'm like, yeah, I fucking did. I doubt myself more than anyone. Maybe not, because again, there's this duality, the duality of man, where you must be like really critical of yourself to the point where you're testing your own ideas, you know, but then you have to keep the channel open because the other side of this coin is some people are so self-critical that then it leads to this other manifestation of the ego where you're like, I'm not going to release this idea that I have about training into the public domain because it's only my opinion that matters, you know? It's like when you release something as an idea into the public domain, what you're actually saying is not, oh, I'm the best, look at what I can teach you. You're almost saying like, hey, like, what do you all think of this idea? And so it's this openness to the public domain and letting other people judge your ideas that is actually like less egotistical than thinking that you're the be all end all when it comes to judging your own ideas, you know? Like I said, you have to manage. Ego management is everything when it comes to sharing your ideas as a coach and content creation and stuff. That could be people just rolling their fucking eyes right now, this whole chat, but I think it will hopefully resonate with some people. So the inner critic is helpful up until the point where it shuts you down completely. If you're capable of being really self-critical about your own thoughts on training, but then you're still able to share your thoughts on training. That's that sweet spot where if you do get any pushback, you'd be like, no. Like, I doubted this already so much before I even put it out there. And that's what's going to force you to formulate and package up your ideas so much better. It's an art, not a science, right? That's a fucking big part of the GPP philosophy. Tell you what, do we just do a short ep? I had a great note to sort of cap this off. What was I going to say? You go through life hearing stories about people breaking up on holidays and you're like, that'll never be me. And then all of a sudden you live in it. And I got to say, what another thread in the tapestry of life.
It's just a real pressure cooker situation, you know? It's like,
I regret nothing. People were like, this relationship is moving so fast. Why are you going to Bali in the first couple of weeks or the first month of the relationship? I was like, let's find out. It's a great stress test. And I feel like I saved myself a lot of time. I saw parts of her that would have inevitably led to a breakup. And here we are, trying to tough out the holiday. So yeah, it is what it is. And I'm in a great place right now. I'm really, really happy, honestly. Because again, it was a quick relationship, you know? It was a good time for a bit. Then it was a bad time for a little bit. And now on to the next one. I hope I find love. I'm like, I don't want to get into too much of where I'm at relationship wise, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm in a really good place with my work, my mental health, my training, my level of confidence. Like, I'm not here to take shit. I am from the right person, but yeah, fuck me dead.
Yeah.
I'm just waffling at this point. Guys and gals, I mean, it's mostly guys that listen to this, fucking 90% following. It is what it is. 90% male following. Thank you for listening. Shout out to our female listeners. I don't want to alienate our female listeners. I don't want to alienate our non-binary listeners. I don't doubt that there's some of them. I hope your training's going awesome. I hope your work and your coaching's going awesome. If you need help with either of those things, check out the links down below. And I'll talk to you soon. Maybe we'll do a double drop this week. I didn't get a reaction out of Harvey there because if we record 2 episodes, he'll probably save one for next week. But maybe there'll be another episode dropping this week. Maybe there won't be.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm going on tour this weekend.
All right, there will not be another episode this week, but I'm probably going to do a double drop on YouTube. So I'm actually just about to hit release on, I've vlogged a workout with my dad. So that'll be a hoot for everyone.
Hell fucking yeah. I know Ash said it already, but you're surfing the big wave tomorrow or 2 days from now?
Tomorrow.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll get a recap once that's done and we'll keep everyone posted.
Pray for me.
Hell fucking
bye, everyone.
Right on. See ya.